All right, NBA 2K rating recap for November 18th, 2025. We got 6 games to get to and a lot of things to talk about in this video. We've got the debut of one LeBron James. We've got the win streaks of the Pistons and Hawks on the line against each other, and we're going to dive in on the Boston Celtics a little bit. Let's start off with the LA Lakers. They moved to 10-4 on the season with the 140-126 win over the Utah Jazz. LeBron made his debut for the season, officially becoming the first player in NBA history to play 23 seasons. LeBron in this game had 11 points, 3 rebounds, 12 assists, was 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 3 on threes, 1 of 4 from the free throw line, added a steal, had 1 turnover, and played 30 minutes in the game. Going over the rest of the Lakers before we dive in a little bit on LeBron. Luka, 37 points, 10 assists, 4 steals, 11 of 22 from the field, 2 for 10 on threes, 13 of 16 from the free throw line, and he had 8 turnovers. DeAndre Ayton, 20 points, 14 rebounds, solid double-double, 10 of 13 from the field. Austin Reeves, 26 points, 1 assist, only 1 assist to LeBron's 12. 7-11 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 11 of 12 from the free throw line. So him and Luka combining for 28 free throws in this game. He did also have 4 turnovers. And then Jake LaRavia, 16 points off the bench for him, 6 of 10 from the field. And Gabe Vincent made his return as well. Played 16 minutes and had 6 points. So the Lakers were they are injury free. Jared Vanderbilt was a DNP CD in this game, of course, more or less due to LeBron's return. Lakers overall shot 60% from the field. They took 40 free throws. LeBron was 5th in field goal attempts on the team. And, we mentioned the free throw attempts. Luka with 16, Reeves with 12, LeBron with only 4. He did not use a lot of possessions in this game, operated more as a distributor. Luka had approximately 38 possessions in this game when you add up his field goal attempts, free throws, and turnovers. Whereas, Luka and Reeves, Luka 38, Reeves 21. Those guys combining for like almost 60 possessions between the two. LeBron had 10 in this game with the 7 field goal attempts, 4 free throws, which is essentially 2 possessions, and then 1 turnover. So LeBron definitely taking a back seat on the team compared to, he's more or less just trying to fit in around Luka and to some extent Reeves. Obviously, he's coming back from a sciatica injury to like his lower hip and back. So he wasn't looking to he looked very slow in this game and not very explosive, I would say. He's still like a freight train coming down the court. You don't want him to get downhill, but he's not really jumping over anybody anymore. And defensively, early on, Utah probably took advantage a little bit of LeBron's kind of lack of mobility. LeBron in the past couple seasons really hasn't gotten out well on shooters, and that was the case in this game. There's guys like Svi, Markkanen got off to hot starts. LeBron was matched onto Lauri Markkanen in this game. He can't really defend the perimeter at all. So we are actually going to we're going to go in and adjust some of his ratings. I think offensively we don't have. I'm not going to look into the crystal ball and say whether or not LeBron in this game, he was passive and trying to fit in. It's possible that his scoring might regress and we end up dropping a lot of these offensive ratings, but it's difficult to say how far we're going to be dropping a lot of them based on this one game. So I'm not going to really adjust too many of his shooting badges per se. Just note that this 99 might become a 95. This close shot 99 might become a 95 as well, or 90. Same with the mid-range and three-point shot. We'll see how efficient he is over a larger sample. Obviously, he only took 7 field goals in this game. But driving dunk. Based on what I saw from LeBron in this game, kind of athletically, I think it's fair to say that at 40, turning 41 next month, this is a rating that has kind of been diminishing every year or so for LeBron. We're going to knock this down to a 75. Based on his usage rate, I don't anticipate that he's going to be getting up as anywhere near as many shots as he used to. He still might be efficient on those shots, but we are going to drop his shot IQ, I think, a couple points. The pass vision, I'm not going to touch that, but I expect this will be. He's still one of the most brilliant playmakers of all time, and that really showed out in this game. Players like Laravia, Gabe Vincent, and DeAndre Ayton, they were beneficiaries of LeBron's gravity, essentially. The defense has to respect him on any drive, and he was able to. He had so many like top tier passes in this game. So the pass ratings, I don't think, are going anywhere. I think the offensive ratings, his shot ratings, are eventually going to dip. By the way, the draw foul rating, this is the lowest it's really been at any point of his career. This is something that regressed last season. I can see this also regressing a little further this season, especially because Luka Doncic is so ball dominant that like the number of situations where LeBron's even going to be in to like really draw fouls, it's probably not going to happen. We don't know, obviously, based off one game, whether or not he's going to be getting as many post touches as he has been the last couple of years. So all this stuff, kind of work in progress. I expect it's going to trickle down. We'll have more. We'll know more in like a week or two. The defense, he didn't look great in this game defensively. Obviously, he's old. He was basically sticking to front court players. Like he guarded Lauri Markkanen and Kevin Love in this game. So we are going to knock the perimeter defense down to 70. 75 is basically an average. So for a perimeter defense, he is below average. This could even drop down to like 65 if like he just like if his footwork is just like really slow. He's still a very high IQ defender. Doesn't commit a lot of fouls. So I am very reluctant to drop it any further than this, but that's essentially what I've got for him defensively right now. I don't think his block rate's going to be what it was. By the way, 2K has this at like a 70. They always overrate his blocks rating just based on like the past when he gets these crazy blocks in transition. I don't really see that being the case anymore. They still have him with Hall of Fame chase down artist or whatever they call it now, high flying denier. We're going to get to the badges in a second. Of course, I'm making these rating changes based off of the edit I already have for LeBron rather than off of what 2K's got. I already differ quite a bit from what 2K's got. Speed, yeah, we're going to drop this down to an 80 in both categories. Even agility, I'm going to leave this for now because 75 is already kind of a little below average for a player in his position, but this could go down to 70 based on like what I saw in this game. He didn't really move at all, like rotate really all that much, but like offensively, he still might be worth having like a respectable agility rating. We are going to knock down his stamina. He played 30 minutes in this game, but I think his days of playing 36 to 38 minutes per game are more or less over, especially given all the depth that the Lakers have on the team. I do have his durability at 75 rather than typically I would have this at like a 90. Based on his career, it would be a 90 because he's played in 90% of his career games. But as a Laker, he's only played like 73% of his possible games. Obviously, he joined the Lakers like age 35. So, this is essentially like the durability rating of like a. He's still more durable than like a Kawhi Leonard, shall we say? But obviously not what he was earlier in his career. We are going to drop the help defense all the way down to a 70. Just based on what I saw. He wasn't really rotating at all onto shooters. But the consistency stuff, still a little too early. I can see, though, if he's not making defensive plays at the rate that he used to because he's just not the same athlete that he was, probably like a 65. Um, so that knocks him down to a 93. Let's take a look at his badges real quick. Again, I don't know based off one game where he only shot 7 times. There's not a ton I'm going to do right now. Maybe Posterizer goes down to silver. Maybe Aerial Wizard goes down to bronze. You know, this might go down. One of these might go down to a silver. It depends on the type of layups that he's getting. Physical finisher. Again, mentioning his foul rate. He drew half as many and ones as he typically does. This has typically always been like a Hall of Fame for him up until last year, where he dropped down to bronze level. So that's probably at like the floor it's going to be at. He's probably always going to have some level of this badge. We'll see if less responsibility on offense actually makes him like more efficient. The post stuff, maybe these will drop a point each depending on how often he has the ball. Same with like post fade phenom. Some of these shooting things are going to be very dependent on, he was setting up a lot of the Lakers' other players in this game. If Luka and Reeves can help create for him, that's going to enable him to keep a lot of these badges. But LeBron's shooting is known to be a little streaky. The passing, I don't really anticipate any of this changing. And then the defense, I'm going to leave this tentatively, the post-lockdown. This is like, he's guarded Jokic in the playoffs before. He defends bigger guys as needed. But, it's not something he does on a every game basis. Of course, there aren't like a ton of post threats out there for him to guard on a regular basis either. This might be the year that we finally remove something like Pogo Stick based on his athleticism. Interceptor, typically LeBron is one of the... He's known for this, obviously, more in like the Cleveland days. Probably going to lose this. The high-flying denier, again, I've got this mainly out of respect at this point, but this could probably go down to a bronze or just get removed entirely if he's not blocking any shots. I have this on him more for like same reason as like the post lockdown, just because like he's a brick wall. He's 6'9", 250 what he's listed at, but like super strong. Like nobody's attacking him. They're more or less going. They're not trying to go through his body. They're trying to go around him. And then the rebound box out beast. All right. And this, yeah, he's still at a 93. Yeah, that's where I've got him at the moment. I do think that he'll probably trickle down to like upper 80s. If you're not familiar with my overall rating scale, 95s and up are MVPs, 90s and up are All-NBA caliber guys, and then 85s and up are All-Star caliber guys. I don't think that LeBron's necessarily going to be... this is going to be the first year that he, in however many years, I think it's 21 in a row that he did, where he was All-NBA, the NBA record for All-NBA selections consecutively. So that streak is probably going to end, not only just due to like the 65 game rule, but due to like diminished play. At least what I'm anticipating is going to be diminished play, but he'll still be like a third All-Star caliber player on this team, I feel like, if he's going to be passing the way that he was in this game. So he'll probably be like upper 80s. And it's worth noting, like, Jalen Williams, I have him at like a 91 or so. Pascal Siakam, I have like an 89. So like those are the front court players that, an upper 80s is still pretty damn good. But I think his days of being a 90s overall rating player are finally over. I don't think I have a ton of notes on LeBron or the Lakers beyond all that, but this is something that I'm going to have a very close eye on over the next week or so, just to get just to get LeBron right as quickly as possible, and also just how his return also affects guys like Luka and Reeves, because they've played really well in larger offensive roles during his absence. So is he going to eventually cut into those roles, or is he content being like the third or even fourth or fifth option on this team. If he's just a guy, I think that's, it's not great for his overall rating, but it's probably great for the Lakers itself because he does things, if Luka and Reeves have shot creation covered, but LeBron can still do things that they can't. He can play, better defense than either one of them can, but he's not always able to because he's had to expend so much of his energy on the offensive end. So if he gets back to being like a more well-rounded player, we're looking at a Draymond Green with like the upside of actually being a good offensive player when he needs to be. I still am very high on LeBron. It's just the days of him being an All NBA caliber, carry the team type of guy appear to be numbered. Let's just hop on over to the Utah Jazz. Before I ramble on any further on that, they dropped to 5-8 or 5-9, I believe, with this loss. Keontae George led the way with 34 points. Lauri Markkanen had 31. Ace, Bailey, and Svi added 13 each. I didn't really have a ton of notes for these guys besides that. Kyle Filipowski missed this one. Hendricks, I didn't actually see if he played, but I know he was available, and Kyle Anderson also returned in this one. Hopping over to the Detroit Pistons. They kept their win streak going. 13-2 now on the year, 120 to 112 over the Atlanta Hawks. 11-game win streak for them. Cade Cunningham made his return to the lineup, and Donis Jenkins stayed in the starting lineup with Ron Holland moving to the bench to make room for Cade. And Asar Thompson also made his return, but he came off the bench in this one. So Cade, 25 points, 10 assists, his fifth straight double-double this year. Donis Jenkins continued to play really well. 14 points, 7 assists in the starting lineup, 6 of 10 from the field. Jalen Duren added 24 points. Duncan Robinson had 13. Big Stu had 13. Asar Thompson had 6 points, 3 blocks in his 23 minutes off the bench. And Javonte Green had 9 points as well. And he played 29 minutes as well. So he kept his rotation minutes, playing more minutes than the likes of Ron Holland. So really interesting development for the Pistons with Jenkins back. Worth noting that Javonte Green checked in for Jenkins, so I'm tentatively saying that like Jenkins was the 2 in this lineup, and then Asar actually checked in at the 4 for Isaiah Stewart. But I think he spent time at like the 2, the 3, the 1 in this game. Like he played wherever they essentially needed him. And then Jenkins, when he checked out, but then he checked back in for Cade at point guard. So you basically had Jenkins at the 1, Green at the 2, Robinson at the 3, and Asar at the 4, along with Jalen Duren. So the size of Cade Cunningham allows for a lot of versatile lineups because he's always going to be the guy who's running the offense as a technical point guard, similar to Luka. But he defensively can also play the 3, so a player like Jenkins actually fits really well next to him. So I'm still going to wait for another game of data before I make any further position adjustments in regards to maybe Cade ends up being a 3, or maybe I just end up switching Jenkins over to a 2. The key thing to remember also is that Jenkins is still technically on a 2-way. So, I mean, he has a games limit. He's not going to be playoff eligible until he signs a standard contract. So the Pistons have some things that they do need to figure out with their roster. Of course, that could be just as easy as them waiving Isaac Jones in January before he's fully guaranteed for the year. But the Pistons, they do have other trade options available in Marcus Sasser, Jaden Ivey. I don't know how long those guys are going to be on the team for. Tobias Harris, they played well without him as well. Bobby Clinton is another guy who really hasn't done much, stands as a salary dump candidate if they no longer believe in him. So just a lot that and Stu, could eventually Paul Reed's really excelled as a backup center. So just to make sure that he gets minutes, Stu's played really well as the starter over Tobias Harris, so I could end up changing Stewart's position to the 4. There's just a lot of versatility to this Detroit team, which is a big reason why they were able to keep the win streak going, even as players like Cade and Jalen Duren fell out of the lineup. Heading over to those Hawks, they dropped to 9-6 on the year, end of their 5-game winning streak. Kristaps Porzingis out for a third straight game with knee soreness. No Zachary Risache in this game after his scary fall on his hip from a dunk. Jalen Johnson continued to play at an all-star level, 25 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. Onyeka Okongwu continued to showcase his three-point range, 4 of 7 from 3 in this one, had 21 points. Nickeil Alexander-Walker added 24 points himself. Dyson Daniels, 12 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, had 3 steals, shot 6 of 9 from the field, 0 for 0 from the three-point line, but the rest of the starters on team attempted 32 threes, so that's probably an ideal. One of the reasons why their offense is clicking with Trey out is Trey is a distributor, but he has to share the court with a non-shooter defensive player in Dyson Daniels, whereas now they just have 4 shooters around Daniels, so that's rather than it's just difficult to get enough spacing around Trey when you always have to play another guy in the backcourt who can't shoot. So that's just something to keep an eye on. Worth noting, Vit Krejci also got the start in this one. He had 9 points, hit 3 threes, filling in for Risache. And then let's head on over to the Boston Celtics. They moved up to 8-7 with a 113-99 win over the Brooklyn Nets. They pulled away in the fourth quarter. Moved into a 3-way tie with the Orlando Magic and Milwaukee Bucks for 9th in the Eastern Conference. East has been a lot more competitive than expected, and the Celtics are not rolling over and dying with the absence of Jason Tatum. They appear that they are going to be competing for a play-in spot at the very least. Jaylen Brown, he's a big part of the reason why. He had 29 points in this one. And we'll just go over the stats for all these guys before we break some of them down individually. Peyton Pritchard, 22 points, 10 rebounds. Derek White added 15. Jordan Walsh recently entered the starting lineup. He had a quiet game in this one. He's never going to be a box score guy, really. Had 4 points, 4 fouls, 11 minutes in this one, but he'd been playing a lot more, and they generally do well in his minutes just because of his defensive motor and all that. But we'll get to that in a second. Starting off, though, with Jaylen Brown. 59 true shooting for him on 35% usage, which is +3 true shooting from last year, +6 usage. Normally, when a guy goes up in usage, they're supposed to go down in efficiency. So it just goes to show that Brown was dealing with injuries last year that hindered him offensively. His true shooting was around 58% from 2001 to 2004. So he's essentially back at that level. But he's 3rd in the NBA in usage. Obviously, that's way up with Tatum out. In some cases, that would negatively impact efficiency, but for Brown, it hasn't. And I suspect it's just because he's overqualified as a second option, which is what he's been with Tatum in the lineup. So this does make me wonder a little bit how the Celtics are gonna handle Tatum's return next year. Maybe Brown should be the alpha while Tatum eases himself back in with he also has a more complementary skill set. He's a better passer in general, stronger shooter from the outside. So maybe they just run things a little more through Brown moving forward is my guess. On the year, 6.6 pick and roll possessions per 36 minutes. That's up 2.5 possessions from last season, and then 4.7 isolations per 36, which is also plus 0.6 from last year. So basically 3 more on-ball possessions per game for Jaylen Brown from last season. But the really interesting thing is his I didn't update his mid-range shot. Let's do that. Let's just do 5 points for now. I forgot to look at the stats for this because I did update his mid-range tendency. That was the bigger thing. He's 35 of 60 from mid-range this year, which is a crazy percentage, 58%. But the rate on that's 4.8 field goal attempts per 36 minutes. That is DeMar DeRozan-esque in terms of his mid-range shot. Like nobody takes more than one per game anymore, which reflects in mid-range tendencies. You're going to see this is like a 1.7, 1.8 per 36. Like Tatum and Simons would take two per game. And then we've got two ways that just randomly have 25 because 2K decided to give them to them. And everybody else is under one. Guys barely take the mid-range shot anymore. And then Jaylen Brown this year is taking 4.8 per 36. Last season he took 36, or sorry, he was 36 of 82 last year. This year he's 35 of 60. So he's already hit as many mid-rangers this year through 12 games as he did all of last season. Last season he was 44% on his mid-rangers and took 1.4 field goal attempts per 36 minutes. So he's taking nearly 4 times as many at a 4.8. So I boosted his mid-range tendency by like 30 points or so. And then I adjusted the touch tendencies for everybody on the team, but also the shooting tendencies, just made sure that to update them. I maxed him out at a 99, and that is higher than what Tatum had last year. So we'll see what next year has. But for this year, Jaylen Brown's played at an all NBA level, I would say. And he's certainly more likely to make it than a lot of other small forwards in the league. Like we just went over LeBron. He's probably not going to make it through to the 65 game rule. Jalen Williams, unlikely to make it for the same reason. He's yet to make his season debut either. And those are two guys that made All NBA last year. Kawhi Leonard has only played like twice this year. He's not going to qualify, especially with the Clippers struggling the way they are. So I think Jaylen Brown, as long as the Clippers or the Celtics rather remain in this 500-ish mix, probably looking at an All NBA team for him this season, which would be the second of his career. Derek White is a player that's disappointed a little bit. He's struggled a lot with his shooting. The efficiency usage curve has not affected Jaylen Brown, but it has affected Derek White in like a huge way. He's at 48% true shooting on 23% usage, down from 61 true shooting on 20 usage. So his usage has gone up a lot, but his shooting percentage is completely tanked. Now some of that is just due to like his first couple games he was like absolutely dreadful from the field, and since then he's been he's been closer to, but still not at the same level that he was at last year. I'm not worried about the 3-point shot. Like that's going to come around. But the more he's at 31% from 3 this year. He was at 38% last year. So like he was at like 23% like 2 weeks ago. So it is for sure coming around. He'll probably be at like 35, 36% by the time the season ends or something like that. But of greater concern is his 2-point percentage. It's only 42% this season, his 2 points. Like his finishing has really what's cratered, as he's not being, the loss of Tatum means that he's now the guy with the ball in his hands, which means he's not like benefiting from like Tatum's gravity, like cuts, all that. He's the one who's like having to take the difficult off-dribble floaters and stuff. So only 42%, was 59% last season. So I've got 84 overall on him, -2 from last year, and then -3 from where 2K's got him at. 75, or sorry, -3 from where that's actually incorrect. I'm sorry, I misspoke. 84 is exactly what they have him at. I think I was just looking at what they had for him last year, like before the update. Sorry. But yeah, 84 overall rating for him. He's starting to get up there in age. 75 layup is a -5 from last year. And then 82 close is 15 points lower than what I previously had it at. So he definitely has fallen off a ways inside of the free throw line. It's worth noting that his blocks and steals are up and Boston has remained a solid defense. So he's still a contender for like an all-defense team after not making it last season, I believe. Is that accurate? Yes, that's accurate. He didn't make it last year. Let's head over to Peyton Pritchard, who kind of has a similar story to White, but it's not as pronounced. He has a 57 true shooting on 21% usage, whereas last year 63% true shooting on 19% usage. So again, like the usage rate isn't all that different, but like the manner of like how he's getting his shots is. He was only at 32% from three. Last year he was at 41%, and that's because he's creating more shots off the dribble than he was last year. With Tatum operating essentially as like a point forward, anytime Pritchard was on the court, like technically he's the point guard because he defends the position, but offensively he's operating more as a shooting guard. With Tatum hurt, he's operating more as like a natural point guard. So that explains some of like the 3-point percentage drop off. His 2-point percentage, unlike White, is more or less the same. So that's not it's ultimately not as concerning. And then Jordan Walsh, I've got him at a 77 overall. This is +7 from where 2K's got him at. I added 9 badges on him. He's more or less established himself as the starting power forward over the last 2 games or so. He brings a really high level of effort on the defensive end. He's got a high he brings a lot of energy, effort, and IQ. So 85 perimeter defense is one of those standout ratings for him. He's a pretty good rebounder. His rebounds, his blocks, his steals might go. Those ratings might continue to go up. And then just hopping over to his mental attributes, knocked him up to like 80 help. He already had the defensive consistency, but like his offensive consistency, he's looked passable on offense this year, whereas like previously the last 2 years he's completely unplayable offensively. He just needs to be like a PJ Tucker, Haywood Highsmith type, where just hit the corner threes when they're open, play hard, make smart, solid passes. He's extremely versatile defensively. He guarded Tyrese Maxey against the Sixers, and then he was guarding Paulo on Franz Wagner on the Magic, and then he was guarding Jalen Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr., I should say, with the Memphis Grizzlies. So, yeah, he's guarding an all-star power forward in Jackson and Paolo, and he's guarding an all-star point guard in Tyrese Maxey. So, really well-rounded defender. Ultimately, why they ended up swapping him in for Josh Minott. Josh Minott hasn't fallen off at all. He's still bringing his energy off the bench. Boston, they just have a lot of interchangeable parts. I'm going to finish off the rest of the ratings on this team. I got one in for Neemias Queta, as 2K had him pretty bad. Sam Hauser, I need to get his rating up. I don't necessarily agree with the 60 layup rating. Some of the random ratings that they have are just really bad for certain players. And then Anthony Simons. His stats have not looked good this year, but I think he had 5 assists in this game. His playmaking is not what it was the past couple of years. He's playing like an actual team now rather than like just putting up numbers in Portland. So that's affected him somewhat. He started off the year. He came into the year as like an 84 overall rating. He would have been projected as like a 6-man favorite, given that Peyton Pritchard was 6-man of the year and he was entering the starting lineup. So they were similar hopes for Simons. He hasn't really played at that level yet. He's probably closer to like a 79 rather than like an 81. Some of like the badges and stuff from last year are still, still hanging around. He's still a lot of these gold badges in like shot creation and stuff really do go a long way towards the overall rating. But that's what I've got for the Celtics so far. I'd kind of held off a little bit on giving them some ratings just because I wanted to see how things shook out for them. Brooklyn Nets, they dropped 2 and 12 on the year. Michael Porter Jr., 25 points, 8 of 16 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 5 of 5 from the line, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 1 turnover. He and Nick Claxton have really been the only respectable players on the team. I got Porter up to an 85 overall, +2. Claxton, for what it's worth, 7 points, 11 rebounds, was 1 for 9 from the field in this one, so not a great game for him. Igor Demon, I believe, had his career high with 12 points. He was 4 for 7 on threes, but 0 for 3 on twos, so not really giving them much there on twos. He's 36% on threes this year, but only 42% on twos, and only he's taking 8.2 threes per 36 minutes. So, high volume, I guess, off the dribble, like average percentage, that's fine. Only 2.8 twos per 36 minutes. So he's not able to get into he's not driving at all or having any success with it either. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on for the 19-year-old point guard, but technically has like small forward-ish size, so he could end up at another position if he's not able to get by other point guards on offense. It's just something to keep in mind throughout the year. San Antonio Spurs, they go to 10-4 with a 111-101 victory over the Memphis Grizzlies, despite no Victor Wembanyama and despite no Stephon Castle. He's going to be reevaluated in 1 to 2 weeks due to his hip injury. Champagny got the start in this one. So De'Aaron Fox, he's really the only lead guard on this team at the moment. He had 26 points, of course, against a team with no point guard in the Memphis Grizzlies. So the Spurs still in a better spot than Memphis in that department. Harrison Barnes had 23 points as one of the top shooters. He's really underrated. I got to get a good rating in on him as well as the rest of the Spurs. But Kelly Olynyk had his first real minutes of the season, had 10 points off the bench in 19 minutes. They need him to provide some front court spacing with Wemby sidelined. So it's more or less just an insurance policy for them. Luke Cornett was scoreless in this game. Let's go over to the Grizzlies. They dropped to 4-11. No Ja Morant. First game without him. Vince Williams, he got the start at point guard in this one, and he nearly had a triple-double. 14 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. It looks like some of his ratings are kind of crap. 69 layup for him. He's another guy that, like, 2K's done not the greatest job on, so I'll try to get a rating in for him now that he's starting for the next couple weeks. Newly minted starter Colin Coward led the way with 19 points, 11 rebounds. Jaren Jackson Jr. finished with 18. Zach Edey had 8 points, 11 rebounds, 25 minutes in his second game back from injury. And then Cam Spencer, essentially the only other close thing to a point guard that they have on this team right now. He added 15 points as well for the Grizz. Not looking great for their playoff hopes right now. Heading over to the Orlando Magic. They moved up to 8-7 on the year with a 121-113 win over the Warriors. 6 Magic players in double figures in this one, despite the absence of Paolo Banchero. That might be why the scoring has been more distributed in Banchero's absence. Desmond Bane, he's been playing a lot better. 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Also had 5 steals, which ties his career high. Anthony Black had season high 21 points off the bench in this one as well. He's played well regardless of whether Jalen Suggs is starting or not. And then the Golden State Warriors, they dropped to 9-7 on the year. Curry, 34 points. Butler, 33 points. They didn't get a ton of scoring besides that. Draymond Green was the only other player in double figures with 12. So they are definitely missing Jonathan Kuminga in that regard. They don't have a third scorer on this team. And you can see, Moody and Richard are basically just guys who are going to play off of the other 3 guys. And yeah, just a random assortment of role players on the bench. Al Horford not playing at the previous levels that he had with like the Celtics the past couple of years. Going over to the Suns, they move up to 9-6, one of the surprise teams of the year. 127-110 over the Portland Trailblazers. Don't really have a ton of notes on them. Nobody really had any big lines. Booker, 19 points. Colin Gillespie, 19 as well. I got to get his rating up a couple points, as well as Jordan Goodwin at only a 70. He was solid in this one as well. Grayson Allen's missed the last 2 or 3 with an injury. He should also be in the 80s. I have not touched the Suns yet, but we'll try to make it a point to do so in the coming future. Also, Iguodala was really good. Yeah, so they're probably the best team that I haven't really gone in on yet. I'll try to knock that out in the coming days. And then the Portland Trailblazers, I haven't really touched them yet either. But in part just because they're so weird. Like all their point guards also are hurt. Scoot, like he is 8 weeks deep into his hamstring injury and he's not even running yet. Drew Holiday's been out, so like they don't even have a point guard. Blake Wesley broke his foot. So like either Shaden Sharp or Denny Avdia is the backup point guard in this one. Jeremy Grant actually did not play. So Chris Murray got the start in this one, which means they were extremely short-handed in terms of like NBA talent available. Like so Denny had Shaden Sharp had 29. Denny had 19, which is actually kind of a bad game for him for his standards, because he's averaging somewhere in the 20s. 19 points, 5 assists for him. Sharp had 29 points and only 3 assists. Caleb Love was essentially the sixth man in this game, and he had a career high 17 points and 32 minutes. That's how bad things are on the bench for the Blazers. We've got Ryan Repair, Duop Reith, Sidi Sissoko, also on a two-way, has been playing a pretty big role for them. So those are players that I should get some ratings in on the two-way guys if they are playing. But yeah, Yang Hansen actually back from his G League stint just due to the lack of bodies, so we'll reactivate him. But yeah, not great in Portland. I'm going to try to spend. I've given a lot of love to the Eastern Conference, in part because I'm from the East. 2K's from the West, so they focus more on the guys on the West side, on the West Coast, right? I'm like more familiar with the East Coast guys because I'm over here, but also just like alphabetically. I typically go through the roster kind of alphabetically in terms of like the team names rather than the cities. And it just so happens that like all of the Eastern Conference teams are in like this first batch of teams for the most part, and all the Western Conference teams are kind of on the back end. So that's just kind of how things work out in my editing process. I'll try to do a better job jumping around, but yeah, I also, there's a lot of Western Conference teams that I don't like to cover, like the Sacramento Kings, for example. I do need to get some ratings in for them. I got to drop a whole bunch of guys on this team. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. LeBron's back, and the Pistons are one of the surprise teams of the year. Celtics also have been really solid. Let me know if you think there's any, aside from what I've mentioned, who I need to be focusing in on more. If there's any players that like I absolutely need to get down in like the coming next 2 days or whatever. Somebody commented in one of my posts, Jordan Walsh needed a little eval, so that was I made it a point to actually watch some tape on him. I appreciate all your comments, and just it helps me be a better content creator, and lets me know what you guys are looking for. And it helps me make the best roster content out there because I make this for you guys at the end of the day. I don't even play this game. I just like to edit the game. So I'm going to have a really good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.